And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome in. The big show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello to you, and out of you, Upstate, South Carolina. Great to be with you again on a Monday afternoon. Hope your week is off to a tremendous start. Hope you had a phenomenal weekend. I am Rob Brown, back in the palatial ESPN Upstate studios, pushing buttons, switching switches, levering levers, spinning wheels, kicking gears, all the things that need to be done to get us on the air, and the omega of ESPN Upstate. Colonel Grudge himself, the great one, Lonzo, behind the board. What up, bud?
Hey, Upstate, how's your bracket going?
Womp, 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 womp. Not that you asked me specifically, Lonzo, but not great. Not great at all. In fact, terribly. As I have one final 14 remaining. Both of my championship game teams are now eliminated. Courtesy of the number 11 seed Bruins of UCLA. Mick Cronin's gang have completely lit everyone's bracket pool entirely in fuego. Did you fill one out, Lonzo? And if so, have you done as I have? Gone ahead, crumpled it up, dumped it into the nearest available trash receptacle.
I did not because I was on vacation and I didn't get around to doing it. But I did predict on this program when it came back at Michigan again, and it hurts to say, was to win it all. And Michigan is still in the running to win it all. Can they get to the final and probably go up against Gonzaga? I haven't looked at to see how that played on the same side or not. Same side. They're still in the running. I'm not rooting for Michigan. I just think they're going to win it all.
I was a believer, Lonzo, when you said to me, Michigan can do it. Michigan can win it all. I thought Isaiah Livers was too big of a part, too big of a cog in the machine to do it without. They embarrassed Florida State yesterday. FSU looked out of sorts. They did not look connected at all. It seems like every time a pass was thrown into the waiting arms of a Seminole player, there were two Michigan Wolverines jumping the pass to try to get ahead of the game. FSU got nothing going. They built a mansion with the amount of bricks that they threw up. Wide open threes, hitting the side of the backboard, clanking off the back of the glass and nothing but iron. I got to tell you, Lonzo, and I'm at the point now where I'm not going to attach my name to teams just because they're playing hot, because that's not how March works. But UCLA and Michigan yesterday both look like championship basketball teams. Both of them. And both of them knocked off a pair of teams in FSU and Bama that I had some level of confidence in. Whoo! Zoe, I hate to say you may have nailed it with the Michigan pick, pal, but you may have nailed it with the Michigan pick, pal.
Yeah, we're going to see. I watched a lot of basketball yesterday too, but I thought they looked really good. And I know that someone had said that they couldn't beat the team they were going up against, Florida State, and said that, Michigan kind of implied that Michigan didn't belong on the court. And I'm not going to say who that might be.
It was me.
But I feel dirty every time I predict Michigan win. I feel dirty right now. I'm if you're on the stream, I'm suddenly itchy and I'm scratching places because I don't feel right saying it, but they looked really good yesterday. And if they continue to play the way they did, they've got a good shot of going all the way. And you're right, UCLA looked really good too.
Really good. Absorbed the blows from Alabama late. Alabama needed a March Madness Miracle 3 to advance to overtime. and then UCLA just kicked them out the door and slammed it behind them. We're going to talk about all of that as a part of that segment that we do to start the show, and it goes a little something like this.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
The lunch breakdown, the 3 things you need to know before you go talk sports with your friend, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This is the scuttlebutt around the lunch table, and we start with item numero uno, and it's really 2 items all wrapped up in the package of 1. To the UFC we go, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper in the show. And of course, on Thursday at 2:20 when Lonzo brings you Fight Club. But I can't wait that long to get there. I am a fanboy, Lonzo, of your new reigning undisputed champion of the UFC, Francis Ngannou, put Stipe Miocic to sleep in their match at 260 this weekend. And Ngannou is now waiting on his next opponent. The next opponent will be trying to defeat him and become the champion because Francis Ngannou currently is. Zoe, put Stipe to a nap in that fight this weekend. And the impressive thing to me, Zoe, there were 2 aspects of that fight that were very impressive. Number 1, Stipe Miocic was supposed to be the better wrestler. He was supposed to be able to take Francis Ngannou down and beat him on the mat. He went for a takedown. Ngannou defended it absolutely perfectly. And number 2, it wasn't like Francis was landing those big, clobbering, cinder block haymakers we're used to. The punch that knocked out Stipe, though, was a left jab. It was a jab. It wasn't a power punch. He didn't reach back. He didn't rotate the body. He stepped forward into a jab and put Stipe to sleep. Lonzo, Francis Ngannou, the dream is alive for the young man from Cameroon.
All right. So first of all, I am not disparaging Francis Ngannou in any way. He deserved to win the fight. And as the announcers were saying, he found some patience, which is one thing that he hasn't had before. He usually goes in guns a-blazing and hasn't really been a tactician. He definitely was that Saturday night. He took his time. He read his opponent. He found his opening, and he knocked him out. But to me, when Stipe walked to the ring, I figured he was going to lose. There was just something about how he walked to the ring. The most recent person that I could say something like that was Conor McGregor. Remember how Conor McGregor came to the octagon last time he fought? He looked like he was going to lose. So Stipe looked the same. He just didn't have the kind of energy that he normally has. He didn't. I'm not going to say he wasn't confident. He looked like he didn't care. And I don't know that he's lost the fighter's eye the way that like Ronda Rousey did. I don't want to say that yet, but he seemed uninterested. And so I wasn't surprised to see him lose. It isn't like he just went out and laid down. He tried to fight, but it just didn't have it in him. And maybe it was because he had seen the improvement of Francis Ngannou and he knew that he was going to lose. But I don't want to believe that. I believe that there is something else going on. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Ngannou because he looked good and he looks every bit the prototypical. That's who you want as your champion. That's who you want as the face of your entire industry, as a guy who looks like that. And but I'm going to wait and see if something else comes out about Stipe and why he didn't seem like he normally does in the octagon.
All right, we're going to talk more about that fight later on because, as I've mentioned multiple times, I am a Francis Ngannou stan. I like that dude. I love that dude, and he is now le champion. So we'll talk more about that fight later on in the show. The second part of item number 1, Zoe, we don't have to spend as much time on this because I suspect we'll be talking about it plenty between now and July 10th. UFC 264, Poirier v. McGregor, Chapter 3, the rubber stamp match set to be laid down in July, according to sources close to the UFC. Dana White said on Saturday that the plan is for 264 to be at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, and asked if Poirier v. McGregor would be the main event. He said, quote, "I hope so. We all hope so." It seems, though, that both fighters want that to be their match. It seems both of them want that third in the trilogy and want it to be the next match for both of them. Optimism, yes, no, that we will see the third match in July.
And I can't wait for that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking to see if Conor bounces back. If he comes back to the ring with the swagger, and probably in front of fans this time, which I think will help him a great deal. Hopefully we get this fight and it's a good one.
All right, we're going to break that down further as well, but we got a lot more to get through in the lunch breakdown. We go to item numero dos. It looks like it's happening. According to sources, including Jarrett Bell of USA Today, the National Football League's owners are meeting up this week, and the thought is that they will be approving an expansion to a 17-game season starting in 2021. The NFL announced plans to stage an in-person draft again this year in Cleveland, April 29th through May 1st. Their hope was to attract tens of thousands of fans. That was the step they wanted to take toward potentially playing games in full stadiums in 2021. We still do not know how many, if any, fans will be allowed in person, but the big point of discussion coming out of these owners' meetings is the thought that the NFL will exercise their option to implement a 17-game regular season in 2021. Back during the week of Super Bowl 55, Roger Goodell dismissed the notion of an all-virtual offseason and contended that he wanted input from the players' union. He also said that he was looking forward to a discussion with them about a 17-game season. Obviously, conditions have changed since the CBA was negotiated, namely, obviously, the emergence of COVID-19. Last year, Goodell shuttered the offseason as the pandemic was at its height. The league and union exercised a tremendous spirit of cooperation in establishing virus testing procedures and protocols, et cetera, et cetera. But inside of that CBA was the option, if money was lost, for the league to potentially expand to a 17-game regular season. It looks like they are ready to pull the trigger on that, Lonzo. A few players, Alvin Kamara, the most notable, the running back for the New Orleans Saints, coming out and expressing disdain for the decision, saying it's long enough. The NFL's been playing a 16-game schedule since like the 70s without change. This would be the first extension in almost 40 some odd years since we went to a 16-game schedule. Lonzo, the players don't seem thrilled. I suspect this is one of those things that the fans are going to go, meh, but hey, more football's not always that bad. The only issue I have with this isn't the expansion. I mean, it is the expansion, but for the reason that if the owners really tick off the players by adding another game when so many of them say 16 games is such a long regular schedule anyway, the next CBA may be a little more difficult to negotiate.
Yeah, because we've heard this fight with baseball. I mean, so you're adding the game, but you're not adding more pay, and so that's going to be an argument about that. But are they taking away preseason games? If you're taking away a preseason game and adding a regular season game, for one thing, fans are going to be happy about that. And as an NFL fan, I like having another game, but so when do they stop? I mean, where's the cap on it? If 17 works, why not go to an even number and go to 18? It just, where do they stop?
All right. And finally, on the lunch breakdown, what a weekend of Elite 8 shooty hoops. Well, Elite 8 now on Monday, Tuesday for the men, the women just behind them as well. Over on the men's side, this past weekend, we had a tremendous weekend of shooty hoops. Oregon State puts away Loyola Chicago, the 12 seed, becomes just the second 12 seed to reach the Elite Eight, 65-58 winners. Villanova falls to the number 1 seed, Baylor Bears, 62-51. Baylor at 25-2 through to the round of 8. Arkansas, the final SEC team, still dancing. They knock off the upset-minded number 15 seed Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts. The Hogs, a team that I had some question marks about, but they have answered every one of them, is on their way through. And the Cougs of H-Town overwhelm the Syracuse Orange 62-46 in the Saturday nightcap. Syracuse looked okay out of the gate, but it just got away from them. Then on Sunday, Michigan, the Wolverines torch FSU 76-58. Midway through the second half, FSU cut the lead down to about 5, but Michigan went all in, never looked back, and they destroy the Noles. Gonzaga, a beatdown of Creighton, 83-65, the one over the 5 seed there. The Bruins of UCLA remove my national championship pick from the picture. They knock off Alabama 88-78 in OT. It was a phenomenal game. Again, if you missed it, Ryan Priest knocks down a 3 at the buzzer, a March Madness miracle to get Alabama into OT, but then it was all Bruins in the final frame, 88-78. And then last night, my other pick, Oregon, gets absolutely wailed on by UFC in a Pac-12 matchup, 82-68, your final. The Trojans march on over the Ducks. So on one side of the bracket, Michigan, Gonzaga, UCLA, and USC are still alive. Over on the other side, Oregon State, Baylor, Arkansas, and the Houston Cougs are still alive as well. Over on the women's side of things, the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks are marching on to their Elite Eight as well. South Carolina gives it to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. It was a weird game as Aaliyah Boston, arguably, and I think definitively, the Women's Player of the Year this year, started out kind of slow. Didn't have a single bucket in the first half of that game. Had a couple of boards. She would end the day 4 of 10 from the floor, 1 of 1 from the line with 9 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. But they got picked up elsewhere. 17 points coming out of Cook on 6 of 13 from the floor, 5 of 6 from behind the arc. Zia Cook absolutely lightened up the bottom of the net. The Gamecocks as a whole, 8 of 14, 57% from 3, 31 of 55, good for 56.4% from the floor, and knocked down all 6 free throws that they were awarded throughout the contest. South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball on to the Elite Eight. We will break that game down further as we get into the week. When we come back, it was an atrocious day of sports picks for your boy Rob Brown. So when we come back, those of you who don't like me, those of you who listen because you hate me, you just can't wait to hear what dumb thing comes out of my mouth next. Boy, do I have news for you about this show. When we come back, we kick off Roast Rob Monday because I deserve it. I got killed in the picks this weekend. So when we come back, you finally get to tell me exactly why you think I'm bad at my job on Roast Rob Monday. That's next on The Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
What is up, everybody in the stream? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Let's see here. We've got a couple of comments already. Ryan says, speaking of epic events, we need to get the grudge match of the show for members, the show for wrestling fans in the Airsoft Arena. Ryan, I don't have to tell you, big dog. The challenge was issued from Rob Brown and Lonzo. We laid it down on the table that we were ready to get out there and play. Mark pretended not to know what Airsoft was. If you missed it, though, during the show on Friday. And by the way, phenomenal job blowing their show up with the Airsoft Challenge. Hashtag accept the Airsoft Challenge. Mark said he didn't know what Airsoft was. And Ryan, you called in. I heard that call, man. After Ryan called in and explained to him what Airsoft was, he still would not commit to taking the challenge. And then when Diesel kind of explained to him what it was and said what the challenge would be, Diesel said to Mark Ryan, "You don't want to take that challenge." Mark said, "Why?" And Diesel said, "Because I would turn and start shooting you as well." Mark Ryan has made it a 3-on-1 challenge, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Justin says, did the man show step up to the Airsoft duel yet? Sounded like Mark didn't want any part of being lit up by Zoe. Again, Justin, I don't think that he was going to accept it no matter what. I don't think he was going to accept no matter what. But when Diesel said, "I will light you up as well," suddenly Mark sounded even less interested in it. And that's hilarious. So we'll see. Listen, the challenge stays on the table.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. Atlanta Braves baseball, Pablo Sandoval making the opening day roster for the team. A number of moves made over the course of the weekend as they put together their 26-man roster. They also select the contracts of two other non-roster players in infielder Avery Adrianza and also reliever Nate Jones.
I want to have some fun.
Jason Kipnis.
They have not
he
said
was
yes.
released.
That's where
the team outrighted outfitter Abraham.
All right, I am sorry that I missed out on this conversation because I was doing a live spot. But I know that you texted me, Rob, and told me that they were discussing it in the first hour. I didn't get a chance to listen because, there were emergencies elsewhere in the building that required my attention, so I could not do it. So how much of a denial was there actually?
So first off, the first thing you need to know, Lonzo.
Hey, FurmanFansRadio.com is your home for exciting Furman Paladins.
The first thing you need to know, and I think you would appreciate this, Diesel went full HBK in the barbershop on Mark Ryan, right? Mark claimed not to know what Airsoft was. Diesel explained it to him. Ryan, here in the chat, who actually was the one that brought this whole thing up, called into the show, explained it to Mark. Mark said, "Does it hurt?" Ryan was like, "Well, it doesn't feel great, but it's going to sting a little bit, but, pride is more important than pain, and tried to talk him into it." And then Diesel said to Mark Ryan, "You don't want to play Airsoft." And Mark said, "Why not?" And Diesel, in the most interesting heel turn of all time, said, "Because I will turn and start shooting you too, and it would turn into a 3-on-1 shoot Mark Ryan fest." And I have never sat on my couch and laughed as hard as I did when Diesel's sweet chin music Marky Jannetty through the barbershop window metaphor.
Oh my gosh. I saw your text. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, and I didn't exactly understand it till this moment. And this pleases me a great deal. This is I need to go back and listen to the podcast. I got to hear this. I'm surprised that, I don't know. We may have to borrow from that show and make a promo out of it.
It started.
We might have to do that.
It started with, first off, Mark opened the show, and there must have been 15 to 20 texts into the show with hashtag accept the Airsoft Challenge. right?
Thank you, Rob Brown Show listeners for doing that. Thank you.
Blowing them up with hashtag accept the airsoft challenge to the point that I got the impression early after the first one came through that Mark was doing everything in his power not to talk about it on the air, but they got so inundated with messages and text and eventually calls that they didn't have a choice but to respond to it, and it was glorious. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the radio.com app. Put it on all of your digital devices and don't miss a minute of our live local programming, The Rob Brown Show with Rob and Lonzo every afternoon from noon to 3 Eastern. And then, of course, Offsides with Mark, Ryan, and Diesel from 3 to 7 every single evening. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Let me get the text line pulled up. 71307 is the text line. And tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at ESPN Upstate. All the different ways for you to get in touch with us.
I know you probably didn't intend to go the direction that we went in during the breaks. By the way, check us out on our social media live feed.
I got a whole segment coming up for what you're about to talk about.
Okay, I just want to make sure because there's something on there that I would like to address live on the air. So,
we got a whole segment coming up about that, brother. Join us in the stream, by the way, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, and YouTube.com/The Rob Brown Show. You go there, you check it out, and you can watch the stream behind the scenes live with me and Lonzo. We had a whole conversation going about hashtag accept the airsoft challenge during the break, which we will address on the air coming up in a little while. But before we get there, I got to do this. This is an idea that came across to me last night because I am what they call in the psychology department a masochist. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your boy had a horrendous streak of picks this weekend. Horrendous streak of picks. And this is not an exaggeration, Lonzo. Every game I picked this weekend, I lost. Every one of them. The U.S. men's national soccer team, Stipe. I picked against my own guy and went with Stipe. He lost. I picked FSU over Michigan. They lost. I picked Oregon over USC. They lost. I picked Alabama over UCLA. Every freaking contest that I picked this weekend, I lost. I got handed a platter of L's, a smorgasbord of L's this weekend. I almost suspended myself without pay for my own show today as a punishment for how atrocious I was making picks this weekend. So I am going to do something very, very dumb. I'm going to do something that my mother has already texted and said, well, that's a dumb idea. There's the text right there. Those of you on the text, Roast Rob Monday. Well, that's a dumb idea. But I'm going to give you guys the chance, all right? Now, we take every phone call on this show. Everyone that comes in makes it to air. We don't really screen out calls until, we may ask you to wait a segment, but we let everybody in. But what people don't think is that, they don't really welcome phone calls that roast the host. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't like me, if you hate me, if you go, what? A pin-headed, blithering idiot. Well, today's your day. It is hashtag Roast Rob Monday. I am giving you the opportunity, even if you do like me, but you got something against me that you want me to fix up or whatever the case might be, it is Roast Rob Monday. I am giving you the chance to say to me whatever it is that you want to say to me, about the show. Just don't talk about my mama. Outside of that, you can say whatever it is that you want to say. I had such an embarrassingly bad weekend of picks. I was Lonzo, 0 for 8 in the pick. 0 for 8 between like 4 different sports. 0 for 8.
That is not
this weekend.
That's not an easy thing to do. You should be proud of that. I mean, you had the potential to screw up and actually win one, and you didn't. So consistency.
Law of averages said I should have lucked backdoor into one of them. Law of averages says I should have got 1. 0 for 8 in my picks this weekend. I don't like legit. I expected to open my email this morning and find the Rob, come down to my office. We need to talk email. I fully expected that email this morning.
Yeah, I got one of those. I just haven't been over there yet.
Well, listen, no matter what happened that you got the we need to talk email, Zoe, that's fine because when they go, Zoe, we need to talk, you can go, Rob went 0 for 8 in his picks across 4 sports this weekend, and the boss will go, okay, call him in here, please. Atrocious on the pick line this weekend. I missed 3 college games. I missed 1 soccer game. I missed a UFC fight. And I missed 2 NBA games that I picked as locks over the weekend. 0 for 8. Are you kidding me?
You didn't put any cash down on any of those, did
Yes.
you? Oh, no.
Yes, because I believed. Embarrassingly bad. Here, you want to know how bad it was, Lonzo? I have a rule when I make bets. I have a rule, all right? I've got like 3. I've said them on the air. I've got like 3 or 4 rules that I follow through. Number 1, I never bet on my own team. No matter how good or bad I feel about it, I never bet on my own team. That was a saving grace for me because FSU and Michigan, I have connected, right? I grew up doing radio in Florida.
Is that known as the Pete Rose rule?
Yes. I grew up in Florida, and so I don't bet Florida teams. I don't bet Florida. I don't bet Florida State. I don't bet Miami, right? I don't bet Jack. I don't bet against these teams because these teams had such a formative influence on my career. So if there is a team that's in a market that I have broadcasted, I don't put money down on those teams because no matter what, as impartial as I try to be, right? I hate Miami Hurricanes fans. I hate Jacksonville as a whole, as a city. FSU, Florida, they kind of, because I was right next to them when I was doing my broadcasting, because of them, they had a huge influence on me, so I don't bet on those teams. That's the only saving grace I have. And I didn't bet Stipe because I don't bet UFC because honestly, it's just no way to win, all right? But I bet 2 other college basketball games, 0 for 2. I took Alabama to cover. They were a favorite. Yeah, I took them to cover the favorite. I took Alabama to cover UCLA. I took Oregon. I think they were 5.5-point dogs, 6.5. I just needed them to cover. They couldn't even cover. So it is #RoastRobMonday. Oh, the second rule in my gambling, Zoe, is if you go over on a day, you're done for a month. So no more bets for Rob. Probably won't last a month, but like 2 weeks. I will not be betting Final Four, Elite Eight, National. The only bet I'm going to take from this point forward is probably going to be South Carolina Gamecocks basketball. Although after the game yesterday, good win over Georgia Tech. I'm a little less confident than I was a week ago, and I'll tell you why coming up in a minute. But
hey, don't put that stuff on the Gamecocks, that bad mojo, whatever it is that you got going on. Don't do that.
Bad mojo. So you are more screwed if I say I am confident in you. Every team I said I was not confident in kicked ass this weekend. Keegan texted me on Saturday? And he said, hey man, I found a couple of spare bucks laying in one of my gambling accounts. Who do you like? I said I like FSU to cover 3.5, and I think what was the other one I told you? Keegan, was it Bama to cover UCLA? I think it was the other one. Either way, wouldn't have mattered. I could have given him any 2 of my 8 picks, and he'd have lost them all. So #RoastRobMonday. The phone lines are open. The text lines are open at 71307. If you text me a hashtag Roast Rob Monday take, I will read it on the air. My pride is already wounded. All right? There's nothing you can say that I'm going to back away from. Hashtag Roast Rob Monday, 844-GSP-ESPN, 71307 on the text line. Start it with ESPN. Tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet Zoe at Lonzo on Word. Tweet us all at ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, the U.S. men's national soccer team fails to qualify for the Olympics again. And the reaction to it yesterday was justifiable outrage, including from yours truly and a host of other voices. That's up next on The Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're just minutes away from a shot at $1,000. Another.
Oh, man. You guys heard about the Pepsi and Peeps team up on a marshmallow? So I have not, Brian. That sounds like diabetes in a can, if we're being honest. It also sounds like I'm absolutely going to try it. It is what it is. All right, I'm going to step away for 8 seconds and grab a drink. When Lonzo comes back, he will have you. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Those of you on the stream, leave your comments. I'll discuss them when I come back.
Okay, what would marshmallow Pepsi taste like? That just doesn't sound, I don't know. Just sounds like, here, drink this. It has an aftertaste. Now I'm going to have to look it up. Yeah, there it is. I'm looking it up. Peeps Pepsi. Why? I just don't know why. By the way, Brian, I'm not saying I won't try it. I mean, I've tried a ton of food and drinks on the air, so I would definitely try it. I will go into trying Peeps Pepsi the same way that Rob will eventually go into watching the Snyder Cut. I'm not going to like it. $30 seconds.
Anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo U, 844 GSP ESPN. It is hashtag Roast Rob Monday. Anything that you want to say to take me down for an atrocious weekend of picks? 0 for 8 across multiple sports this weekend for me. Today is your day. Get at it. Send it to me on Twitter at hashtag Roast Rob Monday. Let's see. At Plaid Falcon. Rob, you're not allowed to roll my death saves, but while you're at it, can you predict the Niners drafting Mac Jones so I can stop stressing about it and have them take Justin Fields instead? Yeah, no. The good news for you is you're getting either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. I don't know which one yet. I don't know how the Jets have them graded out. I suspect, and I believe Lonzo is in the same boat. I think we both suspect that Justin Fields will be going number 2 to the Jets, and you'll be getting Zach Wilson. But the amount of competition there has been to try to get up into one of those 3 spots and end up with one of those 2 QBs is probably the best possible news for you. What a day we had on Friday, Lonzo, with Adam Schefter dropped in Schefter bombs all over our program. We had all this stuff set up. To talk about in the third hour of last Friday. And instead, Adam Schefter just bombs us with draft news. It's been relatively quiet since then. We haven't seen a lot else going on, although we do have a lot of question marks about some other teams that rumors are they're looking at jumping up. They're looking up and trying to try to move in there. Maybe even the Jets trading out of the number 2 pick and dropping back down. But man, the mock drafts we had all put together going into last week are worthless now, Lonzo. They're worthless thanks to the Eagles, Dolphins, and a host of other teams.
But that's okay, because you know what that does? That makes the draft a lot more interesting going into it, because that means we're not quite sure who's going to go where in the first couple of picks, and there's always a chance that the Jets will trade out. And it's going to make the draft even more watchable.
71307, start the text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. At ESPN, the Sugar Show was back, though. Hashtag UFC. Yeah, Sugar made his return, got back on the right end of things. Kind of a big knockout over Almeida for him as well, Zoe.
Yeah, and according to him, he never lost. Well, He's considering that one loss not a loss, just pretending like it didn't happen, and that's fine. No, the card overall was really good with some surprising knockouts.
I also did not miss a single pick this weekend. I like to go ahead and say that I'm accepting the Sugar Sean variation of logic here. I didn't miss a single pick this weekend. I don't accept any of those 8 that I got wrong. All right. Here's what I want to do. I want to get back on the clock because I'm off of it, and I want to put some time into this discussion. I promised the whole show we're going to get into some football in a little while, including a question where, once again, I am going to help you allow you to tell me what you're looking for in a radio show. We have a story about a Clemson football player that, to me, isn't really a story. It's not really that big of a deal. It's worth a very brief in-passing mention. But I was told yesterday that it's something I needed to spend a segment on, like an entire segment, because people will love the story. And I want to ask you if that is true or not. So I'll tell you what that is coming up at the start of the next hour. And next segment, a lot of harsh reaction about the U.S. men's national soccer team after being eliminated yesterday from the Olympics for the 3rd consecutive Olympics. What needs to change and why? I got that for you next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Yep.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you, no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate is always streaming on the radio.com app.
Your health is the most important asset in your life. It's a lesson that we're taught when we are young. It is a lesson that stays with us as we age, and it's a lesson that is very important to keep you at your best, to give you the ability to enjoy your life the most that you can enjoy it. And that's why you need to be working with our friends at Prisma Health. Not only are there locations scattered around the upstate and the Midlands, not only are there more than 2,400 medical providers in that network across the entire area, but on top of all of that, they are committed to making sure that you understand exactly what is going on with your healthcare. Go to their website, prismahealth.org. They keep track of everything. They put it up in a nice little chart for you so that you can know what is going on with your doctors and nurses as they're taking care of you. That communication is incredibly important to them, and it's important to them that you are trusting them so that you know what's going on when and why. I'll be seeing the folks at Prisma this afternoon, as a matter of fact, because I am getting shot number 1 of the vaccination schedule this afternoon. If you're interested in that, prismahealth.org. You can get registered there, find out where you fall in the eligibility group, and get yourself signed up. Schedule an appointment right there on the website. It's prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org, our friends at Prisma Health right here in the upstate.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Mostly sunny skies here this afternoon. We'll see high around 64. And for tonight, mostly clear, low near 42. By Tuesday, sunshine, a high around 69. Wednesday, chance for showers and storms and a high around 70. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vuchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 56.
Okay, so you can't throw a football 90 yards like an NFL QB and get paid the big bucks?
I'm daring to be great right now.
No sweat. All you need is 2 ears, a texting finger, and your radio locked on ESPN Upstate. With a $1,000 cash stash. Listen every hour from 7A to 5P. Weekdays for the keyword. Then text it to 72881. Text and data rates apply in this national contest. You could be the winner of a big chunk of dough 11 times a day. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better bet. Download the BetQL app today.
What's up, football fans? It's Matt Man and 9.
We're here to help you get in the game this football season with the best beers on the planet.
The Rise Guys now have 3 beers available in the upstate.
The Rise Guys P1 Pilsner, Matt Man's Rootin' Tootin' Rooster Red Ale, and Fat Boy's Prowlin' Growlin' Golden Ale.
That's right. To kick off every game, from overtime to kickoff and back and forth, these beers were designed to achieve the ultimate drinkability during the games.
Matt Man's Rootin' Tootin' Rooster Ale is up against Fat Boy's Prowlin' Growlin' Golden Ale.
I quit.
So, I mean, that's a little dramatic, but did you hear my text tone, by the way?
I did not, and hopefully it wasn't Disney related.
It was not. Keegan, send me a text real quick so you can hear my text tone. It's amazing. That's in honor of my picks this weekend.
That's appropriate. How long will you keep it? That's the question.
It's in honor of my life as a whole. Thanks, Keegan. So Jones says he tweets out about Ngannou, show me the money. Dana says that John Jones doesn't want that fight because he wants to be paid like the most ever for a fight. Does he deserve it, or is he ducking that fight?
I guess if you don't look at all the things that he's done out of the octagon that's gotten him in trouble, if you just look purely on what he's done inside of the octagon, he deserves it. He deserves the money. He deserves the hype that will be. I think
That's a super fight, right?
It was going to be a super fight with Stipe, but with Ngannou, it's up even more. You're going to get more people tuning in to see it.
I agree. That's
because this will be the first time legitimately people believe that John Jones could lose. I mean, because you could, you can envision Ngannou just knocking him plumb out. And Jones hasn't looked great his last couple fights. So I'd almost pay extra for that, especially if he lost.
Keegan, you jerk. And also, I'm so sorry.
The Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
All right, let's talk a little soccer for just a minute. Relax, non-soccer fans. A, I'm going to get you there. And B, I have to, I got to throw it out there, especially when it's the national team. We're not going to stick on it all day long. It's going to be like a segment. You can make it. I promise. I believe in you, soccer fans. I believe in you, non-soccer fans. All right. So the U.S. men's national soccer team had a match yesterday against Honduras. And that was supposed to be a match that if they win, they head to the Olympics. Remember, it was nay but 5 years ago when the Americans lined up against a scrappy squad from Costa Rica in order to qualify. They fell 1-0 in that one. Yesterday, beat Honduras, make it to the Olympics. They fell in that one 2-1. It was ugly. It was bad. It was embarrassing. I remain embarrassed, and I'm not the only one. Here's a couple of clips from some folks. Taylor Twellman, I think, kind of summed it up the best, how I was feeling yesterday afternoon after that game was over. Here's what Taylor Twellman had to say about the El de Honduras that eliminated the United States men's national soccer team from the Olympics. Here's Taylor Twellman.
Another big moment for the United States Soccer Federation on the men's side, and another moment to question whether or not they know what they're doing. The United States men's Olympic team has failed to qualify 4 of the last 5 Olympics. That is pathetic, to say the least. And I get it. You were missing your best players because of FIFA rules, and some of the players weren't in season. But all of that noise, that's just excuses. The roster of players that were in Mexico should have qualified. It's simple as that. But to everyone saying to me that the Olympics aren't that important for the men, are you sure about that? Because the last time I checked, the 2016 gold medal game was Brazil versus Germany. Odd how those two countries know how to win, isn't it? Do you know why they know how to win? Because they play in every single tournament that they can play in. And it's something you learn. And you can't learn when you don't qualify. The fact that there are excuses for a team trying to qualify out of CONCACAF is laughable to me, especially one that has every resource at their disposal. So I'll continue the conversation about developmental players and the growth of the American player in Europe. I get it. It's very important, especially for the men's full team to reach the highest level. But I've got one question for U.S. soccer. What does the scoreboard say? Do you know what it says? You've missed the last World Cup and 3 Olympics on the men's side. So until the scoreboard changes, the narrative continues. Despite all the talk, the United States men can't do it when it counts.
Yep. Hashtag nailed it. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And it's embarrassing at this point. It's embarrassing. It's a joke. Look, I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing the men's side doesn't care about the Olympics. Well, then damn it, they should. They should. And it is full out and entirely top to bottom embarrassing to fail to qualify out of CONCACAF 3 consecutive Olympics. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's unacceptable. It should be something that fills the U.S. men's national side with absolute embarrassment, but I didn't get that. And look, I don't want the excuses, all right? I don't want the excuses. I don't want to hear for a second, oh, well, MLS didn't release some of the better. That's fine. the team that was down there still should have been good enough to qualify. All right? Because keep in mind, those same players were not available to Honduras or Mexico or Canada or any of the other teams that were either in it for qualifying or at least had an opportunity to qualify. That was a joke. That was embarrassing. It was unacceptable. As a soccer fan, as somebody who loves the game, as somebody who wants to see the men's side do well, that was a joke. That was a joke. It was a joke. It was unacceptable. And I'm tired of it. I really am. I hate to be that guy. I hate to be the guy that's couch coaching, right? That's one thing that we all get frustrated by is couch coaches. But what the hell else am I supposed to do? How else am I supposed to look at that and handle it? It was a joke. The roster was not great. There was no flexibility. They basically took one prototype of player and filled the roster up with it, which meant if there was a single game where the tactics went bad, there was nothing they could do about it. If you show up to the golf course with nothing but drivers and long irons, don't be shocked when you suck inside of 100 yards. Well, that's what happened. The coaching staff could not make it. Was just bad. It was just bad, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of losing. There's too much talent. We'll talk more about it later in the show, but this is your opportunity to win a grand in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for this upcoming hour is salsa. Like you can buy a lot of chips and salsa if you win $1,000 by texting SALSA to 72881. 72881, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Again, the keyword for the 1 o'clock hour is salsa, SALSA. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win a grand in the $1,000 cash dash. You're my programming director. Help me figure out the show when we come back on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, W249TL Green.
QC Kinetics in the first break.
Outstanding. Lonzo, you ever had jury duty?
I have been picked for jury duty a couple times or made it to the early phases. Each time I've shown up wearing my WORD gear and pointed out that I work on a station where news items are discussed thoroughly.
Sure.
And I was dismissed both times. The last time, though, was federal, and I thought for sure I wasn't going to get past it. But I mean, it's an honor to be picked and all that kind of stuff, but I really didn't want to do it. And because I didn't want to miss work. I know how that sounds, but it's true. I didn't want to miss work. And so I didn't. And a couple people there knew who I was when I left and had to discuss politics with them, which I absolutely do not like, but had to do that. Yes, I use the politics to my advantage so as to not have to do, and then I had to discuss said politics on the way out. So, but that was, I don't know, it's been maybe 7 or 8 years since last time that I got picked.
I've never been called for it, and it's weird, but I want to. I want to do it one time, like for a real trial.
Well, with federal, you're sequestered and a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, I'd been gone.
I live in a one-bedroom apartment by myself.
Man, check this out. For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real.
Yeah. Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Let's get it, y'all. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We will read them on the air as I am about to do. A couple of texts have come in during the break. First one, ESPN, maybe the U.S. women's team should play in the men's division and vice versa. I mean, look, no, listen, here's the thing. The U.S. women's national team is the model. Now, what I would agree with is that maybe the folks running the U.S. women's national team should run the men's team too. Maybe they should run the men's team too, because they're obviously doing a much better job. Now, not to be pedantic and not to be that guy, all right? And again, I'm just going to hit on this briefly because we got a couple of texts and then I'm going to move on from soccer. Not to be that guy, but the women's team is going to have an easier time fielding talent. Why? Because women's soccer is a much more socially, as stupid as this is, socially acceptable sport for women to play. So you have more of the best soccer players in the women's side making their way onto soccer teams. That's just how it works out. I hate it. Drives me crazy. But that's the way that it is. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think you could make the argument that the folks who are running the women's side should be running the men's side too. And that goes to the second text we got just a second ago at ESPN Upstate, 71307. ESPN Rob, I know nothing about the process for filling the U.S. men's team and curious as to where the issues may lie. Is it management picking the wrong players? Is it coaching? Just curious as to your thoughts. Well, in this case, in the case of us failing to qualify for the Olympics again, it's a little bit of both. So basically, every country has a pool of players that they can select from. There are certain criteria set by FIFA that you have to meet in order to be eligible to play for your international club. And once you meet those criteria, you are locked into your international club with just a handful of reasons that would be given to allow an exception for you to trade international clubs after you've hit the cap limit to be connected and locked on to one team. The pool itself has players that can play anywhere in the world, but they are internationals of your team. In this case, one of the things that a lot of folks are chalking up this L to is that a lot of, and the Olympic roster, by the way, is a U23 roster, which means the players have to be 23 years of age or younger, with, I think you get two exceptions. You can pull two players that are over the age of 23 to go play in the Olympics. That's the difference between it. That's why it's not viewed at the same level as, say, the World Cup. So a lot of the players that are U23 for the men's side play in the MLS. They're not necessarily playing overseas. And in playing for the MLS, well, the MLS did not release their players from their contracts to go play in the international window. And that's one of the other things that you have concerns about when you have these windows opening. So the MLS says those guys can't play. So we were missing a lot of players, some of the better players at the U23 level that are in the MLS and were not allowed to go play in this Olympic qualifying. The second thing is, yes, it is coaching, because the coaches fill out their roster from the pool of players that are eligible and available. And so the coaching on this qualifying side, to me, picked a bad roster. All right. They didn't give themselves any versatility. They really kind of picked one prototype of player. They didn't really expand the roster and open it up to where they could have tactical shifts in games when things weren't working. Like, for instance, the way that they were not working against Honduras yesterday. The third thing is the tactics themselves. They were bad. They didn't work against Mexico. They didn't work against Honduras, and they didn't change them once they realized they weren't watching. Jason Christ is the head coach of the U23 squad for the men's side, and his response after the elimination from the Olympic qualifying tournament was, as far as I'm concerned, completely unacceptable. According to Charles Bime, Christ said, quote, "It's a fact of life that you lose more than you win, and it's always going to be about who gets up and moves forward the quickest. These disappointments happen in your life over and over and over again, and you have no choice but to move forward." So, I got to tell you, man, that quote instills me with zero confidence, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's a fact of life that you lose more than you win, and it's always going to be about who gets up and moves forward the quickest. Sounds like a sentence. The first sentence sounds like it's from a loser, and the second sentence sounds like a motivational cat poster that's hanging on the wall of an office where everybody hates to be there every single day. I have zero confidence in the U23 side of things, and the problem with that is that the U23 side is where we grow our talent to send them up to the big boy national squad. So I'm not satisfied. I'm flat out angry and embarrassed with the performance of that side. And forget if you know anything about soccer. If the coach of your basketball team said that, if the coach of your NFL team said that, you'd be infuriated. It's no different for me in this aspect.
Well, I think in this case, and I'm not cracking, although it may seem like I am, this comes down to how popular this sport is in America. If it was football, if it was basketball, and this sort of thing was going on, there would be an outcry. There would be people, reporters going crazy, trying to figure out why this isn't being taken care of. But because soccer is still niche, especially at that level in the United States, people don't care as much. So the expectations aren't that high. When you say soccer to me, I think of the women's national team because they always seem to be in it. They always seem to be playing for titles and seem to be competing and be the best in the world. The American side, the men's side, it's not there. It's absolutely not there. Now, is the talent there? Probably. There are probably talented players that could compete with the rest of the world, but we never see them because of how they run things.
Another text goes in that direction. It says, at ESPN Upstate, maybe men's soccer does not do well because it is not a very supported or exciting sport in the U.S. Well, I got two things. Number one, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I was walking around downtown, making my way. No, I'm not going to do that. I was walking around downtown last week.
Do it.
I'm not going to do it. And it's sad that you know what I meant.
I love that song. I don't care what it makes me sound like.
Anyway, and there was an Everton match. Everton out of the Premier League. And Everton, of course, plays in Liverpool. And as I walked past a particular brew house downtown, there were probably 200 people, 150, 200 people sitting outside on a beautiful sunny day, watching the Everton game as they took on Man City outside of a bar and losing their minds over the game. I go to Greenville Triumph games. Now, I've only been here for one season, and I've only seen the COVID era, but I've seen the pictures of the first year of the Greenville Triumph. The stadium is full at Legacy Early. There is soccer support. Oh, by the way, while we're disparaging men's soccer here in the Upstate, hey, Lonzo, let's see how you pass this test. I mentioned it last week. Let's see if Zoe was paying attention. Hey, Lonzo, who is currently the number one ranked men's soccer team in the entire United States at the NCAA Division I level?
At the NCAA Division I level.
Who's the number one team in all the country? Don't overthink it. There's a reason I'm making this point.
I'm going to go Clemson.
That is correct, Lonzo. That is correct. In the area where soccer is not supported and not exciting, your Clemson Tigers are the number one ranked college soccer team at the Division I level. And it's not particularly close. There are 25 available first place votes. and Clemson has 24 of them at 11-2-1. The only other team with the first place vote is Indiana. Who else is in the top 25? Well, right down there at number 6, you find Wake Forest in the great state of North Carolina. Go down to number 10, Missouri State, a Southern team. Go down to number 16, North Carolina, a Southern team. Number 17, Charlotte, a Southern team. Number 18, Kentucky, a Southern team. And number 24, from the other side of the state, Coastal Carolina, a Southern team. And that's not to say other teams like Tulsa aren't in the list. So that, to me, is not a great argument, considering the best team in college soccer is in the South. In fact, it's literally next door. Your Clemson Tigers are the best soccer team in the country right now. So the whole, it doesn't really stick in our area. Really? Really? So I got to tell you, I suspect, Lonzo, we don't get a lot of college baseball talk. But in every market I've ever been in, when a college baseball team goes on and wins Omaha, all of a sudden, college baseball is really excited in that community. Now it's a story. Why aren't you guys talking about it? I suspect if the Clemson Tigers go on and win the Division I men's national soccer tournament this year, I suspect we're going to get a handful of phone calls and emails going, how come you guys aren't talking about Clemson soccer, the best team in the country? I have been, for the record. So I'm not trying to hear it's not supported and not excited or not exciting when of the top 25, 10 or 11 of them are teams in the South. It is. It's there. It's there. It's just that the men's side at the international level has got to get better managed. At ESPN, that comment would be fine if you were playing the lottery, not if you're coaching a U.S. national team. That's from Joe. Yeah, Joe, you're right. You're absolutely right. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down is a great lyric if you are Chumbawamba. It is not a great line if you are the head coach of an international soccer squad in one of the most resource-filled sporting countries on the face of the earth, and you have failed to get it done for 12 consecutive years. Lonzo, quick question. If a basketball team in this area failed to reach the NCAA tournament for 12 consecutive years, what would happen to that coach?
Did he get a new contract?
Okay, what would happen in other markets?
Thank you. After I had the unfortunate circumstance where I had to praise a certain team, I get to get back there. In other markets where basketball matters, 12, it would be like 3 or 4, I would think he'd be gone.
Yeah. They get canned. But here we are, repeating the same process. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, there's a story about a Clemson player that came out yesterday. I thought to myself, it's like a 1-minute read, right? In fact, I put it in my little extra news spot where I just kind of bump a headline for you. Don't really spend a lot of time on it. But I got told yesterday evening by 2 separate Clemson fans that it was a story they believed was worthy of a full segment. I want you guys to help me gauge the pulse of the area and tell me if that is true or not. I'm very curious. I'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo, it's ESPN Upstate.
QC Connects.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Last weekend, my little brother was in town, and we played like a lot of golf, like 5 rounds of golf in 3 days, all right? I don't do that a lot anymore. If I swing 18 in a week, it was a busy week. We played 5 weeks of golf in the better part of 3 days. And I got to tell you, on Monday morning, when I woke up and got back to work, my everything hurt. My lower back hurt. My hips hurt. My left leg was killing me. That's the one I kind of pushed down on those big 310 all day drives. All right. Those little joint pains and aches, exactly why we have partnered up with QC Kinetics because I know I'm not alone. I know everybody, as they age, starts to have to deal with those little aches and pains. Well, that's what QC Kinetics excels at helping you get back to your day-to-day life. They use non-surgical regenerative therapies that accelerate and boost your body's own natural healing properties. We're all a little Wolverine, man. We've all got them. It's just that as you age, they slow down and you become less Wolvie and more Logan. Help get yourself back to healing yourself up, getting over that pain, getting over those aches, and getting back to your regular day-to-day life. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com to learn all about the science of how their regenerative therapy works, or call them today at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that consultation scheduled for free with our friends at QC Kinetics right here in the Upstate. Wonder if they'll appreciate a Wolverine turned Logan reference into their reads, though. I didn't even think about it until I was halfway through it.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, Keegan, we get it. I suck at my job. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Don't worry, you're not going to be able to hear it. I may or may not be playing that coming out of the break.
Walking fast, faces passing, I'm homebound.
I added that to my Spotify list, and there's a major reason. It's the piano. The piano is awesome in that song.
It's a great tune.
It's not a bad song either.
Not at all. Text line says, wait, Rob, we're all a little wolvy, so we've all got some adamantium casually in between our knuckles. No, texter, I meant the healing factor. You know what I meant. If I could just hold you tonight. I should stop singing when the mic's live.
No, it's fine. You can do that. Don't worry about
Not
being tagged
or anything.
No. Actually, I'm not. No, but Facebook is, and I can pull it from there.
Not like that song's not incredibly difficult to sing or anything.
$30 seconds.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Real, unfiltered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you. I realize, Lonzo, I can't hear it. I can't hear the music. So I know
and you're not allowed to either.
Absolutely jamming over there to a little Vanessa Carlton, and I don't get the pleasure of hearing it. Bummer, man. Bummer.
Miss you. And I need you. I got them backwards, whatever.
All right. So yesterday, a story broke that I kind of put over onto the section of my show prep that are just little one-hitters, right? I call my one-hitters basically stories that are an interesting headline, so people are going to care, but I don't necessarily think warrant a full segment of conversation, and that is this. So the story came out yesterday that Trevor Lawrence has declined an invitation to attend the NFL draft in Cleveland in person. And he said that, hey, look, I've been saying for a minute that I want to watch it with the boys down there at the complex in South Carolina. I don't feel compelled to be there. I'd rather spend the time with my guys that I played ball with my coaches that got me here, with my friends and family and my fiance, all that kind of good stuff. And I thought, cool. Like, I'm good with that, right? I'm good with it either way. If you want to go up there and get the accolades and put on the fresh suit and get all squeaky clean, make your television debut as an NFL player, accept that number 1 jersey on stage, shake the hand of the Ginger Czar, Roger Goodell, I'm good with all of that. Cool, man. Do you think? And that was it. That was the thought that I had, right? That was the thought that I had. That was it. That's all I had. So I got to talking yesterday evening. I'm texting back and forth with some of the folks from the area that I've made friends with on and off the air. And I was asking the question, is this like really a big story? Is this something? Because I said, I'm going to make this a one-hitter. I'm going to make it a thing that I just kind of casually bring up. Hey, Trevor's not going to the draft. He wants to stay down there in Clemson at the complex, watch it with friends, family, coaches, players, blah, 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 blah. And they said, Rob, that's a segment for you. People want to hear about it. They want to know about it. They want to talk about how great of a guy Trevor Lawrence is and the fact that he values his time with his players, his teammates, his coaches, his family, his friends. That is a mark of his character. That's a mark of who he is. That's the mark of why he's going to be a great NFL player and was a great college football player. That is absolutely something you should take some time to talk about, because it's just a reflection of how great of a dude Trevor Lawrence is, and he deserves the time. And there's a part of me, Zoe, that understands that. There's a part of me that says, all right, man, if I had the opportunity to go up to Cleveland and spend time and put on the fresh tailored suit, get the herded, get my mug on TV, knowing full well that image is going to become a poster for the National Football League, especially if I have success down in Jacksonville, where no one has success because Jacksonville sucks, then I would probably go. But I also understand wanting to watch it with your teammates, with your coaches who got you there, with your fiance, with your family and friends in the building that made you Trevor Lawrence. I'm good with that too. I don't necessarily think either one reflects on your character in any kind of way. I didn't view this as something that deserved a whole segment, Zoe, but I was told by multiple Clemson fans that it absolutely did. So we'll ask you, Lonzo, and I'll ask the listeners of the Upstate, help me get a finger on the pulse. Is that a topic you guys think is worthy of a full hour of or a full segment of discussion?
I'm sure it will show up elsewhere on the station. No, it doesn't, because here's what it comes down to. Yeah, all that is great. It really is, but that's not the reason. He's number 1. He knows he's going to Jacksonville. What's the point of going to the draft if you already know where you're going? He knows where he's going. He's had discussions with the team. We know, everyone knows he's going to Jacksonville. It's a waste of time to go up there. And more so now, if he's saying he's staying with his buddies in Clemson because of the excitement of them finding out where they're going, that makes more sense. He knows where he's going. There's no suspense. There's none of that. He does it. So why waste your trip? Why go to Cleveland? As you mentioned earlier, I've been to Cleveland. He doesn't want to go to Cleveland. And plus it's still kind of cold there. Why go there? Stay here where it's fairly warm and enjoy yourself. And you're getting ready to go somewhere where it's even warmer. So this is a story for Clemson fans because they just want to be able to talk about him one more time. And quite a few of them, he will be gone from their lexicon, from their what they won't talk about him anymore after the draft is over. Some of them will convert to being Jacksonville fans unless they're smart enough to know what you just said. It's Jacksonville. They're not going to win. Even with him there, they're probably not going to win. They may pick up a game here or there, but you're going to be watching bad football more than likely. You're going to be watching your guy go somewhere where it's not that great. There's a reason why they're drafted number 1. And maybe in a couple of years, who knows? But I have no problem with him not going. And where are those people who are saying, well, maybe he's not going because of COVID restrictions. Maybe he's not going because we're still in a pandemic. Yeah, I know there are vaccines out there and all that kind of stuff, and there are different restrictions in different states. Maybe it comes down to that. But in the end, it doesn't. He knows where he's going. Going to Cleveland is a waste of time.
I don't particularly care the reason he's not going. Really? I don't care. I don't care if he's not going because it's COVID. I don't care if he's not going because there's no excitement. He knows where he's going. He knows he's going number 1 overall. He knows he's going to Jayville. I don't really care what the reason is that he's going or not going. It doesn't matter to me. I'll take him. I'll take him at face value. I'll take him. I believe. I don't have any reason to disbelieve.
Think about this. Let's go back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, a number 1 player not going to New York, where it probably was 5 years ago, would be unheard of. It would be absolutely unheard of. There would be outrage then. But in the day that we live in now, there should be no outrage as far as him not going, and it should be a non-story. Good for him. I mean, everybody's zooming everything anyway. So I'm sure they'll have a camera crew there at Clemson because they always do, because they always have players that are going in the draft. And that will be exciting for him, be exciting for his family. And then he can go home and not have to worry about flights and restrictions and all that kind of stuff. And mostly he doesn't have to worry about being in Cleveland.
Yeah. Look, first off, I've never been to Cleveland. All right. Cleveland has exactly 2 reasons to go visit. The first, for some reason, because I got to tell you, the Rock and Roll of Fame, when I think rock and roll, I think Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. And then the other is Baker Mayfield. Now I'm down. I'll go watch a little Baker play football. Love that kid. But I'll take TL16 at face value. He's not going because he just wants to watch it with the boys and the fam. I'm good with that. Cool. We can discuss his reasoning and the logic and all that. And, he doesn't need to be there to see himself get drafted to Jax. Everything was remote last year. Why not do it again? I'm good with all that.
But see, this is not why they want this as a segment. They want this to be a nothing but let's praise Trevor for 10 to 15 minutes. Again, why?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the question that I had. I had 2 separate Clemson fans last night tell me this is absolutely something. One of them said to me, if you are smart and want to succeed in this market, Rob, these are the segments that you need to make full segments out of. You need to talk about how great of a decision this is and how it shows his real character and how it shows that he's family and team first when all these, this was the line that really got me. It shows that he is family and team first, Lonzo, when, quote, all these other quarterbacks couldn't care less about the people behind them, end quote.
Now, see, what a general statement that is. So what that person is saying that they know every other quarterback that's in there, and, well, our guy's just, obviously, he's much better, and he's a better character. He's better. Come on, man. You don't know all those people. Shut up.
Text line 71307. Start your text with ESPN. This one says Cleveland greater than Jacksonville. That's true. That's true. Perhaps Trevor should go to Cleveland just because it might be his last chance to go to a real city that's not Jacksonville for a while. All right. So anyway, your thoughts, 71307, start your text with ESPN. Tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet Zoe at Lonzo on a word. Tweet us all at ESPN Upstate. Or call in 844-GSP ESPN. I'll ask two separate questions. Number one, do you agree? Do you think that this is something that is worth a full segment? And I'm asking that sincerely. Help me program the show. I want to give the people what they want. I want to give the people what they want. So I got to know, to me, that's not like a full segment story. That's like a fun little, hey, Trevor's not going to Cleveland because he wants to watch with his family. Cool, high five. Next story. But I've also been told that anytime Trevor Lawrence breathes, I need to make a full segment out of it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And second off, do you think this is a reflection of the character of Trevor Lawrence? Do you think this is something that Jacksonville should look at and go, hey, he is a great dude? Do you read into that? It's draft time, baby. We overread into everything. Is this one of them? Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
You ready? Get that.
All right. Look at calling it offsides every day until I bully Mark into the airsoft match.
It won't work.
No, it won't.
It won't.
I mean, try it. I'm not stopping you.
You know what? Prove me and Rob wrong. Do that. Prove us wrong. Get him in there. And I will say I was wrong. You're right. Mark Ryan is going to step up and do it. But he's not gonna. But the audacity to say on the air, I'm just going by the message there that I would not do this. That is ridiculous. On my way home, I called my wife, as I often do, on my way home, and I said, I'm going to tell you something that I agreed to do on the air. I know it's dumb. I know it's going to cause me pain, but I agreed to do it on the air. And as we know, if I agree to something, I stick to it if I possibly can. So here's what I agreed to do. And she was not surprised.
But was she on board?
Whether she is or not, it doesn't, I mean, is she on it's my pain. So, you know, and if it hurts, as long as, you know, if I'm hurting, she's probably going to laugh about it a little bit and say, see, that's your fault. But that's also, you know, if we were to be able to go through with this challenge, one of them would actually have to hit me for it to hurt. And if Diesel follows through with the heel turn, I only have to worry about one guy shooting at me.
I don't wonder if that's a little bit of head games from Diesel, right? He's trying to get me and you, because let's be honest, we both.
Oh no, he's not. No, he's not.
We both know that if they have a chance, it's Diesel, right? Diesel carries that team. He's got to LeBron it up. If they have a chance, I don't wonder if that's not Diesel playing a little bit of head games, trying to get us to lower our guard to try to pin Mark Ryan down and take him out a little bit before surrendering himself. I kind of wonder if that's maybe Diesel just messing with us a little bit.
All right, as we know, that show for men, not fans of the great sport of wrestling. Recently, there is unable to perform. Let's see, my leg. Someone has to fill in for me on SmackDown type thing. It would not surprise me if Mark were to find a stand-in because he's suddenly injured in a way that he can't do it.
Yeah. We show up and there's some like retired Army Ranger.
Yes.
My name's Mark Ryan. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you to the NFL draft we go. This I find kind of interesting, Zoe, and I think you'll have a reaction to it. There are 2 pro days happening tomorrow. One of them is another pro day at Alabama. Mac Jones is going to be running his pro day, and Justin Fields of Ohio State will be running his pro day at the same time. Now, the rumor right now, and I'm looking to get confirmation, but I've seen it in a couple of different places. The rumor going around the greater metropolitan San Francisco area is that the San Francisco 49ers may be skipping the pro day of Justin Fields in order to go to Mac Jones' pro day instead. And the reason that's interesting to me, Lonzo, is because there is a lot of smoke that Justin Fields might get passed over in favor of Mac Jones. He appears to be climbing a lot of scouts' ranking boards in the draft order. There is some thought that you may see Mac Jones come off the board third ahead of Justin Fields, leaving Fields available at 4. Now you've got Atlanta at 4. You've got, who am I at 5 now? I got to remember our draft order stage. You got Cincinnati at 5. You got Miami at 6. And you got Detroit at 7. Before you get to Carolina at 8. If that holds serve, and I don't believe it, all right? I don't believe anybody in the NFL level is going to flip over. Although there was a memo that got out either last night or earlier this morning, allegedly from an NFL scout that said that a lot of other scouts were soured on Justin Fields because of the trend of Ohio State quarterbacks not panning out at the National Football League level. And it's dropping interest in Justin Fields as a top 10 pick, and he might be available. My question is, number one, Zoe, do you believe either of those rumors, that Jones has more interest from NFL teams than Fields, A, and that Fields is being passed over because of where he played college football, and B, if those two things are true, any thoughts that maybe Carolina does try to jump up there into that 5 spot from Cincinnati and get Justin Fields out of the deal?
All right. First of all, there's no denying that Ohio State quarterbacks have not historically done real well in the NFL. I mean, that's absolute. You can look at the records, don't lie. But why are you skipping over number 2? Aren't the Jets going to take a quarterback?
Yes, but the belief there is that Zach Wilson is their pick.
Well, what if San Francisco's been told that the Jets are taking Justin Fields? So if they know that the Jets are taking that player, why send anyone to look at him? Because you know he's going to be off the board. I mean, there's so much speculation here. There's so much mind games around this time of year. It's an amazing thing to see, which is still surprising that San Francisco jumped in so quickly and did what they did. So, you know what? I hope Justin Fields drops down. I hope he drops all the way to 8 so he can prove everybody wrong. This is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the last 10 years. And why they're passing on him. If it's because of that just sounds like poor mouthing to kind of move the pieces on the board to get them where you want them.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. So the rumor now that's coming out is that San Francisco is more interested in Mac Jones and Justin Fields. And if that's the case, it is gaining traction that we might end up seeing Trevor Lawrence 1 to Jacksonville, Zach Wilson 2 to the Jets, Mac Jones number 3 to the San Francisco 49ers. At 4, you got Atlanta. And there are some of us that think that Atlanta might possibly be interested in going with a quarterback to find QB feature behind Matt Ryan, not Ryan. Some people think that. To be honest with you, don't know if I believe it or not. But if they do not go quarterback, and number 5, you got Cincinnati. They are not going quarterback. Whether or not Joe Burrow makes it back for the Bengals this year, they've got their QB feature. Joe Burrow was having a phenomenal year. statistically anyway, for a Bengals quarterback. They're not going, which means that there are only 2 teams separating the Carolina Panthers. If Justin Fields does indeed fall, only 2 teams that separate them from the Ohio State QB. If you're a Panthers fan, and if this does gain traction, and if this does play out, would you be interested in Carolina making a push up to try and grab the young man from The Ohio State University? Coming up at 1 o'clock on Thursday, Rashad Beard is the host of the Panthers Nation podcast in Charlotte. We will talk to him, find out if there is any truth to this that is registering on the radar there with the Carolina Panthers. Let's take a quick break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, more info coming out from both sides of the Deshaun Watson story. I don't like talking about this, but it is huge because it impacts a lot of teams in the National Football League. We'll get the latest out of Houston next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show.
Let's see what we got here. How should I sell the Airsoft Arena match to Mark Ryan this afternoon, in your opinion? Best of luck, right? Zoe and I are both convinced that he won't take it. Both of us are both convinced that it probably doesn't matter what you say to him. He's probably not going to take it. I know they talked about it quite a bit in the first couple of hours, and then it just kind of died off. They just kind of quit talking about it. My guess is they're just going to let it go and then try to let everybody forget about it. My question is, how often is too often to repeat the challenge on our show before we just declare that they refuse to accept it and we win by default? I feel like Zoe, the Airsoft Challenge is a vacant title, right? It's a belt that nobody's wearing right now. And I feel like if they do not accept it, then by default, as the only other contender in the division, the belt comes to us, unless we open challenge any and all other radio tandems across the Intercom group. Looking at you, Rise guys, excuse me. Unless any other tandem of hosts decide to take us on, Zoe, I feel like by default, we just become the 2021 Intercom Upstate Airsoft Challenge champions.
I'd have to agree with you there, because if you're willing to take the challenge as we are and no one else is, that's not our fault.
Right.
That's on them. That's not on us. So yeah, I mean, the title's there. They're vacant. We're going to take those belts. We're going to wear them proudly and take on all comers. It's not our fault that everyone's scared. That's really what it comes down to. There's fear.
What to host across our cluster what to host, and in either a two-guy duo, or you can pair two solo hosts to come up with a mismatched tag team. What two hosts would present the biggest challenge to you and I ending up with the belt?
Well, I got to admit, I don't know all the people on the block. Right. Because it's a fairly new station, and then COVID hit, and no one's in the building, so I don't know anyone there too much. And some of the people I did know are no longer with that station. But the guys that I saw over there were fairly athletic, and I think they would be game. Other than that, I can't think of anybody because age becomes a factor on WORD. Yeah. Sorry, I'm old, but I'm not the oldest, and so that becomes a factor over there. Unless Tim, but Tim is on both stations. Tim might be into maybe doing that. Yeah. Maybe engineering. Now,
I don't think Tim's vicious enough, though. I don't think Tim would line up the headshot at point blank and take it.
I agree. Hawk and Tom at B93.7, they would not be into it because they're older too. And I'm thinking strictly morning shows first. And the Rise guys are not going to do it because no offense, but they're not very mobile. They're just not. I mean,
you ready for my duo? I think I came up with one that would challenge us.
I'm sure Shorty's going to be involved in there. Probably.
I don't know. I've seen Shorty play Call of Duty. I'm not really worried about his tactics. I'll tell you the duo that I would be most afraid of. You ready for it?
Is it going to be Hendricks and Stoneman? And Stoneman,
Hendricks and Stoneman are the only two I think we might have a real fight against.
I'm going to agree with you there, but the thing is, Hendricks, while vicious, has
he's just super in shape. If we turn a corner, we're not catching him.
He's in shape, and I'm trying to be careful about this, but reflective surfaces might give him away. And
we can just look on the ceiling and see where the glare is.
Yeah.
Him on the map.
There's that. I mean, whatever advantage you can have. Now, Stoneman is wiry and diminutive. And so, I mean, he can hide in plain sight some cases. So you're right. That they might be a difficult duo.
And Stoneman's in shape too. I mean, he'd be a hard one to track down.
And then the other thing is, are you willing to shoot your boss with an airsoft rifle or a gun?
Belt? Yes.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Yes, for a championship.
Because I guarantee he's willing to do otherwise.
If he got the chance. 100%.
20
this
seconds.
This is for every sponsor break you miss. Brrr. I have no doubt.
More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have huge news in the international news department. Lonzo, I can confirm that the Evergreen ship, which was wedged in the Suez Canal, is now floated and is now clear. I know it's been weighing heavily on everyone's mind, but the ship has been freed. It has been refloated. It is now making its way out of the Suez Canal. And Zoe, that means that we can stop talking about that particular issue because, Lonzo, that ship has sailed. Hey!
All that, well done.
Hey!
All that way for that. All that way for that.
Oh, man, my family's so proud of me.
Yeah. As someone who supposedly rocks the dad kicks, that sounds like something that I should have said.
Oh, 100% hashtag dad jokes. You're the dad kicks. I got the dad jokes all day. All day. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN, Texas 71307. A few texts that have come in to ask you guys a question. I asked the question, is the Trevor Lawrence story a story? Is that something that you would want? And again, I'm asking this is a serious question. I'm asking for your input here because, again, I want to give the people what they want. I want to make sure that I'm hitting on the topics that are most important to you guys and also the ones that I really want to. Trevor Lawrence turned down an invitation to go to Cleveland to be live and in person for the 2021 NFL Draft, the presumed number one overall pick. Those surprises happen. Would you want that to be a full segment story. Here's a couple of texts that have come in. Number one, at ESPN, I would rather hear about the finer points of curling strategy. Well, boy, do I have news for you in 2 years when the Winter Olympics roll around, because I will give them to you. Number one curling fan in the upstate, ya boy, Rob Brown. By the way, cannot believe that none of you told me that there is a curling club right here in the hood, because I would have joined up a year ago.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I've been wanting to get a shot at that, but I just am too busy. But I would love to be over there and sweeping and throwing the
Well, then I suspect I have a phone call to make after the show is over. At ESPN, Rob, I am a huge Clemson and Trevor Lawrence fan, but I would rather have a whole segment on Duke's Mayo than if Trevor is going to the draft. Also, I found a whole Duke's cookbook at the market in Charleston, if anyone is interested. First off, listen, just email me your favorite recipe. I have not,
All right.
I haven't done.
So you take your sandwich and you toast your bread lightly and you spread your Dukes on there. That's one recipe. It reads that way with every recipe, but with just different kinds of bread. There, we're done.
Noted Duke's Mayo hater Lonzo in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Send me that. You know what I haven't done?
I just want to say that I nailed the Charleston accent, kind of.
Was that a Charleston accent?
I don't know. If someone from Charleston, well, no, they're a little more haughty.
Charleston is a little more drawn out.
You're right. I was going for Pickens County. That one's just way too easy.
You were going very Pickens County. Charleston is a very southern, drawn out. It's like sensual molasses.
Well, it's more like, when I was doing my southern lawyer, that's the Charleston accent way down by the ocean.
I have been to Charleston like 8 times and have yet to come across anyone who speaks like that. I don't run in the upper crust circles.
Have you heard our governor speak ever?
Oh, Governor Henry McMaster.
Foghorn Leghorn, yes.
Oh, Governor McMaster. I need to meet somebody who speaks like that. I really do. I have not done in a while. Actually, since I think the last time I did it was the Doritos burger a few months ago, Zoe, which of course in pandemic time was 8 years ago when I made the Doritos burger. I'm going to need to run back a little cooking with Bourbon and Brown, a little cooking with Bourbon and Rob Brown. If you send me, texter, to robbrown at espnupstate.com, robbrown at espnupstate.com. If you will send me your favorite recipe out of the Duke's Mayo cookbook, I will do another segment on our live stream of Cooking with Bourbon and Brown live way too late one evening. And I will make one of those recipes and give a review on it. That's what I'll do for you, because I'm here to give the people what they want. 844-GSP ESPN, 844-477-3776. At ESPN, not just with Trevor Lawrence, but any top 5 potential picks should be at the draft simply out of respect for the new employer. If you and I were about to get a great job, I bet we would be there. End quote. Oh, a little TL16 criticism coming in on the text line says that it should be out of respect for his new employer that he shows up to the draft and accepts the position face-to-face. Interesting to me.
I agree with that, unless said new employer said, hey, we're picking you. Don't worry about it. Save your money. You don't need to go to Cleveland.
Fair enough. And then at ESPN, Trevor will be a bust. The last 2 good defenses he faced, LSU and Ohio State, he has looked well below average. Lonzo, the mic's all yours, buddy.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing you can think of, and they've shown this video a bunch of times, Trevor on the sidelines with his hand on his head and Dabo looking up at him, trying to reassure him. He's not going to get that in the NFL. When it's your job to figure it out.
That is, look, the NFL does not, you don't have to like it, but the NFL does not give a good gosh darn about how good of a dude you are. It doesn't give a good gosh darn about anything other than the numbers on the score box. Now, TL16, 33 of 48, 400 yards, a pair of touchdowns, and one pick in that national championship game. Looked very pedestrian compared to Justin Fields' 6 touchdowns on 385 yards and just one pick as well. Look, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a pedestrian quarterback. I don't think Trevor Lawrence's floor, as far as I'm concerned, is probably in the range of, let's say, let me put it this way. Will Trevor Lawrence be any worse than Justin Herbert? I don't think so. Justin Herbert had a really good rookie year coming in for the injured Tyrod Taylor.
Would you say that Justin Herbert had a better situation with a better team, though? It really comes down to where he's going, the history of where he's going, and how good the team around him is. There's a reason why Jacksonville picks pretty high every year.
You're not wrong. But and not that it's the same situation, but a good QB can spark a culture change, right? I mean,
but Justin Herbert came to a team that
was already decent,
that had a quarterback that was winning some games with them before he went to Indianapolis. So
I don't disagree. I think that they built a pretty good squad around Phillip Rivers. Tyrod Taylor actually looked okay before a doctor punctured his lung and he had to go sit. But it can spark a culture change. And again, I point back to, not to keep always pointing back to my team, but I go back and point to what Drew Brees did in New Orleans. We were losers before Drew Brees showed up. We were losers. Drew Brees showed up, number 9 showed up, and all of a sudden the Saints, for the better part of 15 years, have been a relatively consistent playoff team. It just takes the right quarterback to spark a culture shift. Could he be that guy in Jacksonville? To be honest with you, I don't see any reason why not. Time for me to give you a word. And that word is your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The key word for this hour is ocean. OCEAN. Like ocean. I just won $1,000. All right, it was a bit of a stretch, but you get what I'm saying. Ocean. OCEAN. Text that keyword to 72881. 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is ocean. OCEAN. Text that to 72881 for your chance to win 1,000 smackers in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Third hour, it's going to get weird. Stick around. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com sports station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. Atlanta Braves baseball, Pablo Sandoval making the opening day roster for the team. A number of moves made over the course of the weekend as they put together their 26-man roster. They also select the contracts of 2 other non-roster players in infielder Ari Adrianza.
Thank you. Do. That song stuck in my head. And now I wonder.
Well, let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better bet. Download the BetQL app today. Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
You know, I make one pun about that boat getting freed up. I say that ship has sailed, and now Lonzo, my entire Twitter feed is just people giving me stern words about my boat pun. Unbelievable. If there was one place, Lonzo, one place that I thought I would find safe harbor, it was here on the airwaves of ESPN Upstate. But instead, you guys just won't let me be. Unbelievable. We're going to get off the air. I'm going to get dressed up. I'm going to put on my boat tie and just go downtown and forget all this ever happened. All right?
Are you going to be rocking your boats as your kicks?
I'm not going to lie. I do have a pair of Sperry Topsiders. They're my 1%er shoes, and I kind of love them.
So I'm guessing those aren't dad kicks.
No. Well, yes, no, those are absolutely dad kicks.
Did you have some when you were a kid?
Not Topsiders, because they're expensive. And there's really only one thing there's three things. There's three things that I don't skimp on. Sunglasses, suits, and shoes. Those are the three things that every man should make sure he puts money into. Sunglasses, suits, and shoes. You ought to have a really good pair of sunglasses. Don't skimp on the shoes. They will give you the value back, and make sure your suit looks good and is tailored. You do those three things, you're going to be just fine. Help me help you, gentlemen of the Upstate, into looking and feeling your best. We're not just a sports show. This is a lifestyle show. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776. Today is Roast Rob Monday. All those things that you hate about me, that you've been waiting for the opportune moment to dump on me because I am bad at my job. Today is your day. 0-for-8 in picks over the weekend. 0-for-8 in my picks over the weekend between four different sports. I even, you know what the frustrating thing is? I should have got at least one. If I would have, Zoe, and see, this is how you know that I picked with my head and not my heart. I have been a Francis Ngannou stan for months. I have loved that dude. He's just a Terminator. And I let Lonzo talk me into picking Stipe on Friday and Thursday. I picked Stipe.
All right.
So my heart, if I'd have picked Francis, I would have at least gone 1-7.
All right. So you can blame that one on me and go the Sean O'Malley road and go. That was not a loss for you. Okay. I will take the L for you, and let's consider yourself going 1-7.
I don't think I ever actually issued a pick on Sugar Sean. I think we just kind of talked about the fight, but I don't think we actually went on the record, did we?
What I'm saying is how he acts like he doesn't have a blemish on his record.
Go with the Sugar Sean logic.
Yes. Go with that logic, and let's say you picked that fight right, and 1-7, because that makes it so much better, doesn't it?
No, not really. I'm not doing it. Now that I can't do it. 0-for-8 in my picks over the weekend. So it is Roast Rob Monday. You may send in whatever mean, spiteful thing that you have been just holding on to since I got here a year ago. Today is your day to unload. I deserve it. I did it to myself. 0-for-8 in picks this weekend. Picked with my head instead of my heart. It cost me the Ngannou pick. Picked with my heart instead of my head in basketball. It cost me all the rest. It did not go well for you, boy, Rob Brown. Do me a favor. Roast me. I've earned it. I'm asking for it. Bring it on. Tell me why I'm a big dum-dum. Tell me why I'm an idiot. Tell me why I don't deserve my job. It is what I is. All right? Here we go. At ESPN Rob, since we are supposed to point out things we dislike about you as you ask, quit saying, I hate to relate it to my team as you always relate everything to the Saints. Once again, this is Panthers country. That is all. All right. Let me say something about that. All right. Because I've gotten that a couple of times. And I'm not going to fire back because, again, I'm asking for it. Here to me, and so you can back me up or tell me I'm dead wrong on this. Here to me is why that happens. The best host, in my opinion, are the ones who are real human beings with you. They are themselves. They don't have a character. You turn on the TV, you can tell, you turn on the radio, you go to a podcast. To me, Lonzo, maybe it's just because I've been doing this for coming up on a decade and a half now. But you can tell when somebody is playing a character versus when they're being genuine, right? You can tell. You can tell when a Skip Bayless is playing a character. You can tell when a Jim Rome is playing a character and not being their authentic selves. And suffice to say, even within a show, you can tell when a guy is actually being himself as opposed to the character he normally plays. It's more genuine. It's more authentic. It flows better. Well, that's me. That's me. I don't have a character for when I'm on air. Zoe, am I any quieter when I talk to you in person in the studio than I am when I'm in front of a microphone?
Well, it's been a while, but according to my memory, no, you are the same person on and off the air.
No, I'm loud and I'm obnoxious and I tell bad boat puns most of the time. So a lot of, if not all of, my sports opinions come from my background. They come from my experiences. They come from comparing and contrasting situations with your teams to situations I've seen before. And considering I was not a sports talk radio host for more of my life than I have been one, although that gap is about to break in just a couple of years. Yeah, when I compare your team and I'm going to compare it to my own experience, it's going to come across based on where I come from and what I've seen in the past and how I've watched situations play out in the past. At ESPN Upstate, this is Falcon Land, not kitty cat country. Yo, are we about to see an Atlanta-Carolina rivalry renew itself here on the airwaves? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. At ESPN, oh, it's another fat joke. At ESPN, listen, Tinky Winky, do they even make Saints gear in your size? End quote. First off, that's a good joke, you jerk. Why would you make me laugh at that? All right? Yeah, I wear an XL, man. I'm not getting stuck in the Suez Canal, all right? This is an XL. I'm wearing an XL jacket as we speak. This is an XL.
When's the last time you went swimming in the Suez Canal? How do we know? I mean, there's that. But I'm bigger than you, so, you know, who am I to talk?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable on the text line. Tinky Winky, do they even make Saints gear? Yes, I'm literally wearing it. Well, not right this second. But most of the time, I'm literally wearing it.
I wonder if they make Tinky Winky Saints gear, though. I'm going to have to look that up.
All right, on to literally anything else to talk about on the show today. Keep the text coming, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. 71307. Start your text with ESPN. It's Roast Rob Monday. I had a horrendous weekend picking sports. Now's your opportunity to take it out on me as you've been wanting to do. 844-GSP ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. By the way, speaking of Falcons fans, I was a little bummed we weren't on the air yesterday, Lonzo. You know what yesterday's date was, don't you? Yesterday's date, Lonzo.
Yeah, I saw those jokes. Yesterday was 3/28.
Yes, it was.
That has some significance.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. 3/28 was the date yesterday, Falcons fans. 28-3, 328. You know who got in on that action yesterday, Lonzo? You know who else besides yours truly sent out a greeting to all Falcons fans on the eve of 328? That would be one Tampa Bay quarterback, Tom Brady. Tom Brady sent out a tweet yesterday, or excuse me, an Instagram story yesterday that said, happy 328. It then went on to tag himself, Julian Edelman, Joseph Thuney, LeGarrette Blount, and a couple of other players who were on the field with him after the Patriots completed the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl. Happy belated 328, Falcons fans. I know that you separated and are partied, celebrated, and threw down yesterday, as you absolutely should have. Happy 328. Keegan checks in your defense, Rob, you're well over 6 feet tall. You don't look, quote, big, end quote, in person. Thanks, Keegan. Thanks very much. I just look large in person, according to our texters. What else did we have on the old prep sheet today that we have not gotten into yet? Oh, yes, I know what I wanted to get at. Let's do this. When we come back from this break that we're taking a minute or two early, because I have to do something that I don't like to do at all. I have to do something I don't want to do at all. I have to agree with something that Stephen A. Smith said. I have to agree with Stephen A. Smith. Y'all, I don't want to do it. It hurts already to think about it. But he said something on First Take that I went, oh God, I agree with Stephen A. Smith. I'll tell you what that is and why I agree with it next. My name's Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show.
Do I have a Harley Davidson read today, Lonzo?
No.
Okie doke. Yeah, Keegan Zion, man. You know, I was thinking about it after we texted back and forth the other day about it, Lonzo, or Keegan, sorry, about Zion. And somebody put up a thread last night that I found really interesting. And it was a thread about the way that the Pelicans contracts are spaced out. So Lonzo's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. And what I love about that is that one of two things can happen. The first thing that can potentially happen is that nobody wants to go up above that 20 mil that a lot of us think he'll ultimately get, meaning that we could theoretically end up keeping Zoe for 20 mil, which I'm fine with that if he's going to keep playing at a high level. Or he could end up in a spot where another team like the Knicks or somebody would have to pay him upwards of 25 to guarantee that we would not match that offer. And if that turns out to be the case, cool, man. Somebody's going to way overpay for him, and I'm good with that. The second thing is, as we get to Zoe's contract, Eric Bledsoe's comes off the book. That's been a bad contract. A couple of others do, which means that we would actually end up with some room to continue to pay the guys we got, get the young core in there, but bring in a veteran or two that are better than JJ. I'm not as pessimistic as I was a day ago.
These pathetic junkies? Come on, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307. I want to get to the agreement I have with Stephen A. Smith about the NBA here in just a second. But before I do that, this text just came in, Lonzo. It's my favorite so far. Rob, you embody every loud and obnoxious guy in every horror movie that everybody breathes a sigh of relief when they get picked off, end quote.
Wow.
I don't know why I love that as much as I do.
They texted that?
Yes.
That took so. Your fingers are probably sore after that.
Yes.
Put some effort into that.
You embody every loud and obnoxious guy in a horror movie that we breathe a sigh of relief when they get picked off. That is that's a great take. That's a great take.
You know what? That guy, though, is usually one of the last ones to go because it's built up the entire movie and people are like, okay, why is this guy still around? So at least you've got longevity if you're that guy.
Also, we're also everybody's favorite character. We might be loud and obnoxious, but we're also hilarious. Also, we are the comedy relief as other folks are getting their, getting their rib cages cut out by Jigsaw. We're the guy making you laugh to ease the tension. It's what we do. All right, so we saw over the weekend more signings of the Brooklyn Nets. We know Blake Griffin signed last week. LaMarcus Aldridge, formerly of the San Antonio Spurs, has now signed with the Brooklyn Nets as well. And basically, for anybody who is watching the NBA play out, this is maddeningly frustrating because now we also know that the LA Lakers have signed Andre Drummond, which means that they have now finally got a legitimate five-man as well, meaning that we are at a point now where the two teams in the two conferences that were expected to be finalists are pretty much everything short of guaranteed to make it there. It would take an incredible push now for any team in the East or West to get in over Brooklyn or Los Angeles, assuming everybody stays healthy. Well, Stephen A. Smith had a take that I agreed with on First Take, I believe early this morning, and I want to give it to you. Now, I don't agree 100%. I'm going to tell you why at the end, but here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say about the signings for the Nets and the Lakers over the past couple of days. Come on, Steve.
I am. And here's my thing, Max and Molly. This is what's rubbing me the wrong way. It's not the KD, Kyrie, James Harden thing. I got that. That's Lethal Weapon 3. I'm good with that, Max. It's not a problem. But when the names Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge come to my mind, that's what really irritates me about this, and here's why. Because I'm looking at guys I remember the last 2 years in Portland, LaMarcus Aldridge averaging 23 a game, and he was supposed to be that glue, with Tim Duncan fading away into the twilight before he was going to retire, with Kawhi Leonard being there and all of that stuff. He was supposed to be that guy. Blake Griffin, remember? I mean, come on now. Remember Lob City? Remember all of that? You were there.
I was there.
You was hosting a radio show in LA for 6 years. You remember Lob City? He was the cornerstone of the franchise. Both of them came up short. Never even been in the conference finals, for crying out loud, okay? Even though I think LaMarcus Aldridge was at least once in San Antonio. I'm just saying, when I look at that, and then I see you jumping on this bandwagon, it's something that turns me off about that, because you were supposed to be one of those dudes. You were supposed to be one of those dudes who was the cornerstone of the franchise that was leading the team to the promised land, as opposed to just sitting up there and just chilling out and having a ring slid on your finger. Right? That's what I'm talking about. That's a turnoff for me. And again, with Kevin Durant, it's not fair, and I'll openly admit that to bring this up, but it's apropos only from the standpoint of just paying attention to history in that regard. When he went to Golden State, he went there because he couldn't capture the chip in OKC playing with Russell Westbrook. But when he went to Golden State, he was the man. He was still the best, even though Steph Curry is the greatest shooter we've ever seen in our lifetime, and him and Klay Thompson are the best shooter backcourt we've ever seen in our lifetime. Kevin Durant was still the best player on that team. We understand how lethal he was. Blake Griffin has fallen off significantly, and to the point where he gets a dunk and we're celebrating. It's damn near back page news. Okay. And now LaMarcus Aldridge, who just weaned out in San Antonio, suddenly he's on this team. And I'm just like, Dan, what's next? We gonna get the best ball boy in the NBA too? I mean, what the hell is next, for crying out loud?
So there's Stephen A. Smith. And I don't entirely disagree with the take, Zoe, except here's the problem I have with what Screamin' A had to say. Did you notice he makes exceptions for guys he likes? Right? He's like, oh, LaMarcus Aldridge. He was supposed to be the guy in San Antonio, the cornerstone of the franchise, the guy that they're sliding rings onto fingers for. He was the guy, and he weaseled out to get to Brooklyn. But then, in the same breath, he's like, oh, but when Kevin Durant, who was supposed to be the guy in Oklahoma City, he was supposed to be the guy for the Thunder who was winning them chips. He was supposed to be the man. When he went to Golden State, Lonzo, that was okay. That was okay. That because of the whole Russell Westbrook thing, because he couldn't do it with Russell, so he went to Golden State. That was okay. But how dare LaMarcus Aldridge leave the San Antonio Spurs, where he was supposed to be the future, to go ring chase in Brooklyn? How offensive. It was fine when James Harden did it and couldn't be the guy in Houston, so he skipped to Brooklyn. It was fine when Kyrie and KD couldn't do it in Cleveland and Golden State, so they skipped together to Brooklyn. All that was just fine. No problem with those guys doing it, but how dare LaMarcus Aldridge? Now, I don't have an issue with what he said, with young players that are built into a franchise and they're supposed to be the guy, the foundation that takes that team to a chip. I'm good with that. But then he immediately comes off that horse and starts making exceptions for the guys that he likes, about why it's okay that Harden did it, why it's okay that KD did it twice, why it's okay that Kyrie Irving did it. And Zoe, that's the kind of garbage that I have a problem with when guys like Stephen A. Smith go, yeah, I hate all these guys chasing rings except James Harden and Kyrie and Kevin Durant, who are all on the exact same team as the guy that I'm mad at for wanting to go there because they're there. It's a joke.
See, what it comes down to is you may hate it, he may hate it, other people may hate it, but as long as they're able to do it, they're going to do it. What is wrong with chasing a ring? There's nothing wrong with it, but there's a perception that you can't do it on your own when you have to go join with other stars to do it. LeBron has gotten a big hit for a long time about jumping teams, but but players are going to play with him, not him going to play with other players. Kevin Durant has went to a couple teams and to get rings. We'll see what happens in New Jersey. You know what? The Nets are exciting. They really are. But how many times have all three of those players, talking about Kyrie, KD, and Harden, been on the court together? They haven't really.
And they're not going to be for the next probably week or so because Kyrie and Kevin Durant are both out with injuries for the 3-game road trip that the Nets are going on. So Harden's the only one available. Aldridge will probably take a day or two to get into the mix before he can start pitching in.
And he's not, I mean, he was a name back in the day, but now he's just going to be a bit player. And it's cool and it looks good on paper, all these guys. But, we know who the three real stars are, but how many seasons has Kyrie made it through the entire season? Kevin Durant coming off a major injury and already hurt again. So chances are New Jersey could come into the playoffs and just have James Harden. And then what do we get? The same thing that we always do, whether James Harden is with his old team or his new team, he's not going to do anything.
Look, if these three dudes are healthy, Harden, KD, Kyrie, if those three guys are healthy, this Nets team's unbeatable.
It's going to be fun to watch, but on paper, yeah. But let's see them play together consistently for, I don't know, a couple weeks. That'd be nice.
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
But you're right about Stephen A. Smith, but he's like most people. He likes some guys he more than others, and he's going to be more favorable towards those. That's just being human.
I guess that's my thing. And look, I'm sure. In fact, I here on Roast Rob Monday, I'm sure some of y'all could even call me out on it. I'm sure that I have been hypocritical in some cases towards players that I like while calling out other guys that I'm not a fan of for doing something that the player I like has done. And I'm more harsh on them. I think we all do it. I try to be as intellectually honest about it as I can and try to avoid doing that. Sure. And I know I'm not always going to be successful, but that one is just, it's obvious. And to me, dare I say, almost, as far as I'm concerned, unforgivable, because you know what you're doing. You bent over backwards to make an excuse. Either you're cool with players hopping teams to find super teams to win a ring, or you're not. You're either cool with it or you're not. I have said, I don't think it's great for the league. Look, the players, until you you can't lock it down. The players are allowed to do it. I'm not going to get mad at a player for hopping around to super teams when it's well within their rights to do so. They sign the contract, honor your contract, then move to whatever team you want. I'm good with that.
But you know what? I'm going to be interested ratings-wise, because if things pan out how they look like they possibly will, if the Lakers get healthy, it will be basically LeBron and the Lakers versus an all-star team.
100%.
So, and that's how it's going to be built. Can LeBron and the Lakers defeat an all-star team?
And here's what I love. I'll tell you why I love this. All right. What's going down with Brooklyn, I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll tell you why I am happy it's happening. Because here's the thing, Zoe. You know who comes out the win-win of this? LeBron. Here's why. LeBron goes up against the finals. Let's assume he gets through the West along with AD. They both get healthy. Let's assume LeBron makes it through the Western Conference finals, and makes it to the NBA finals. Let's assume that happens. So he gets there, and now he and his Lakers go up against an NBA All-Star squad in the Brooklyn Nets. Lonzo, if LeBron loses in the NBA Finals to this All-Star team, the Brooklyn Nets, what's the story about LeBron the next day in the paper? The only way that the NBA could take King James off the throne was to assemble a literal freaking all-star team to beat him. And if LeBron goes out with Anthony Davis and he wins the NBA Finals over the Brooklyn Nets, what's the story about LeBron in the newspaper the next day? LeBron James beats the Voltron of the Brooklyn Nets and defeats an actual all-star team to win yet another ring. Here's the thing. They didn't do this intentionally, Lonzo. But LeBron James is going to come across smelling like roses at the end of the year because the NBA either required to build a literal all-star team to beat him, or he beats the all-star team and cements himself as a Bron fan. This story actually works out great for me because LeBron's going to come off looking good no matter what happens in the NBA Finals.
It absolutely does, but there's a built-in excuse if they lose. For the same reason of what you just said. They had to put together an all-star team to defeat LeBron. That's what they had to do. They had to put together that they couldn't do it with just a regular team. They had to put together a super team, and that's the only way to take the greatest player in the game right now down.
Yeah, that's it. Even if they beat LeBron's going to come out smelling like roses. As a Bron fan, as a guy who loves LeBron, cool, man. You beat him. Great. Even if you sweep him. The story is the NBA had to have their players form a freaking all-star team to take the GOAT off the throne. All right? And if LeBron beats him, I'll tell you straight up right now, if LeBron beats the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Finals, which I'm telling you now is going to be it, if LeBron beats that team, Lonzo, I don't want to see a single NBA fan, player, coach, whatever. I don't want to see a single one of them get mad when every NBA advertisement next year has LeBron James on the cover because he beat the all-star team you threw at him. LeBron's going to come out smelling like roses, y'all. And y'all did it to yourselves.
But
you did it to yourselves.
The Michael Jordan greatest of all time people are already trying to find ways to, and it shouldn't even factor into this story.
Sure.
Because the LeBron fans will be able to say, well, they never had to assemble an entire all-star team to take Michael Jordan down, and that's what they're doing to LeBron. So there are so many arguments down the road that we're going to get, but it all is contingent on those teams meeting and on Brooklyn staying healthy, and I'm not so sure they can do that.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. I am the guy who embodies every loud and obnoxious guy in every horror movie that you're happy to see go. He is Colonel Grudge. We are Rob and Lonzo on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Your chance to bank.
I don't know if that was my favorite insult I've ever gotten, but it absolutely was. Wave, Lonzo.
I saw. I am looking at a tweet from Nerdist that's an artist uses AI to make realistic pics of historical figures.
Right.
And it's showing a side-by-side of Mona Lisa, and that's weird.
I kind of want to see that.
I guess it's fairly accurate, though. Oh, you definitely should look at it, especially for the very first picture that pops up in the article.
Will you reply to it and tag me in it so I can see it?
Yeah. Sorry, system's acting weird. The first picture is Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, I am. I got married to the widow next door.
I DM'd it to you.
Choosing Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC. Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls in on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo, you 844-GSP, ESPN 844-477-3776 is the number to be a part of the program. We have got more info coming out on both sides of the Deshaun Watson story. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it because, frankly, the point that we are in now with this story, to me, and Lonzo, correct me if you disagree here, I think the point of the storm we're in now is both attorneys are trying to win public opinion to their side, right? I think the lawyer representing the accusers, of which there are now 19 lawsuits against Deshaun Watson, I think he is trying to turn public opinion against Deshaun and in favor of these women. I think the attorney representing Deshaun Watson is trying to paint all of this as a money extraction scenario and turn public opinion against the accusers. But I do think that, or at least in my opinion, I think most of us are trying to follow what's happening here. The correct default opinion should be that we are not having an opinion yet. In my opinion, we should not be forming an opinion yet. We should be letting this play out. But 3 new lawsuits accusing Deshaun Watson of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct were filed yesterday evening, including one that claims the Houston Texans QB is deleting Instagram messages and contacting the women who, quote, formally provided massages in an attempt to settle, end quote, according to those lawsuits. The 3 lawsuits were available earlier this morning on the Harris County District Clerk's website, bringing the total number of lawsuits filed against Watson now to 19. All 3 lawsuits accuse Watson of sexually assaulting women during massage sessions by, quote, purposely touching them, end quote, with his reproductive organs, and state that his, quote, behavior is part of a disturbing pattern, end quote. The 3rd lawsuit also includes the accusation that Watson is deleting Instagram messages and contacting the plaintiffs, quote, as a result of the repeated lawsuits against him, end quote. The lawsuit filed by Houston attorney Tony Busby says, quote, plaintiffs have not brought these cases for money or attention. Instead, plaintiffs seek a change in behavior with regard to Watson and a change of culture in the NFL. Watson obviously publicly denied any wrongdoing. His lawyer, Rusty Hardin, said last week that he believes, quote, any allegation that Deshaun forced a woman to commit a sexual act is completely false, end quote. Rusty Hardin in that statement also said that his law firm has, quote, strong evidence, end quote, showing that one of the lawsuits alleging sexual assault is false and that it, quote, calls into question the legitimacy of the other cases, as well. Busby said earlier this month that he would submit affidavits and evidence from several women to the Houston Police Department and the Houston District Attorney. Busby also said he will request that a grand jury consider the evidence and determine whether charges should be brought against Watson by the state of Texas. Dane Schiller, a spokesperson for the Harris County District Attorney, said last week that it would be, quote, inappropriate, end quote, for the DA's office to comment on the lawsuits against Watson. The statement said, quote, it would be inappropriate for the district attorney's office to comment on a civil lawsuit, and we refrain from publicly discussing allegations in any matter until and if a criminal charge is filed. We do this out of fairness to all, end quote. NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy stated that, quote, the matter is under review, end quote, pertaining to the league's personal conduct policy. And the Texans said in a statement that they would stay in close contact with the NFL during its investigation. All of that information coming from ESPN. So I think we are at a point here, Zoe, like I said, where you're basically looking at a situation where you've got two attorneys, Hardin and Busby, both of whom understand that they are in the midst of a public relations war. Both of them are trying to sway the court of public opinion in their direction, trying to get people to sympathize with their clients, whether it is the accusers on one hand or Deshaun Watson on the other. And like I said, to me, I am refraining from developing an opinion to the best of my ability, because the out of court battle between these two attorneys to try to sway public opinion in their favor is obviously going to be filled with a lot of, I don't want to say mistruths, I don't want to say lies, but obviously they're both going to try to paint the picture in their favor to the best of their ability. So I think continuing to hold off is the correct course of action, at least for me.
I agree. My only major question that I still have, well, all right, that could be answered, is why is this still a civil trial? It's just a civil trial, right?
Yes, still a civil issue.
It's still, as long as it's still a civil trial, then that paints it in a certain light. If these accusations are true, then it needs to be a criminal trial, and that changes the entire thing. So as long as it stays where it is, who knows?
Yeah, that is, I agree to a point. Although what I would caution people, again, I've been following the story relatively closely. I've been in contact with a number of people that I'm close to that are attorneys, two of which actually specialize specifically in sexual assault allegations and trials, etc. And what I have been told, because obviously the thing I've heard quite a bit is, if these allegations have weight behind them, why are they not in a criminal court yet? And the answer is because if Tony Busby has not turned his information, his evidence, his data, whatever you want to call it, over to the police, then they have nothing to investigate, and there is nothing to call a grand jury with. It is up to Busby how he decides to forward this information. He can do it in bits and pieces. He can do it all at once if he's waiting to put together a complete package of evidence before he passes it on. That is at his discretion and the discretion of his clients, the women that are accusing Deshaun Watson of impropriety. So it does not need to be, to answer a concern that I heard from some folks last week, it is not required for a criminal investigation before a court case proceeds in civil court. It is not required that the attorney send whatever data and information and evidence he has to the police or district attorney or anybody else before a civil suit can proceed. Busby can attack this however he wishes to do so. If he does decide that he wants to give all the evidence together at one time to the police, that may explain why he's holding off. And the theory that he just doesn't have any evidence, which is why he's turning it over, it holds water at this point until that evidence is indeed turned over. So for those of you asking why there's been such a delay, that would be, as far as I can tell, I am not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but people in my life who are attorneys are basically saying that what is likely happening in their estimation is one of two things. Either Busby has no evidence and he's just going to try to kind of kind of bring some corroborating information about these massage appointments to a civil court and hope that that stands up. Or B, he is compiling evidence, putting it all together, laying it out in a convincing and chronological way before he turns it over at the same time. Again, that is not an indictment of Deshaun Watson, nor a condemnation of the Houston Texans franchise quarterback. That is not in support, nor is it an indictment of Busby's strategy either. That is just simply what we are looking at today as this case continues to play itself out and holds really a lot of NFL teams that may still be very well be interested in Deshaun Watson hostage while they wait to find out what happens next. All right. 844-GSPE, 844-GSP ESPN, Texas at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We can read them on the air. When we come back, it's time for everybody's favorite game, Twitter trending topic. Zoe tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30, 45 seconds about what I know about it. If I don't know anything about it, I make something up. That's next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet.
It's interesting. There are some that look pretty spot on and some that I think are maybe a little bit of a stretch, but it's definitely interesting. Womp, 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 womp. Zoe, we're 2 episodes deep of Captain America Winter Soldier. Where's your head at?
The thing is, what you need to expect from a show like this is it is about politics and intrigue and things like that. So, I mean, you think about the first Captain America movie was a war movie. The second one was a spy thriller. Yep. And with espionage and all the things involved in that. So it's no surprise that a lot of this is what they're going for here. I think the action picked up a good deal in the second episode, and I think it's going to be building, and I'm interested to see what Baron Zemo does.
Yeah, that was a solid cliffhanger. That's it, because putting Bucky back in front of Zemo is
with the guy who programmed him. Yep. That's not good.
No, and it puts a lot on Sam. I've got like 4 working theories about what's going to happen right now, and it could be any one of them, or it could be none of them. There was a really good comic that some people may or may not consider politically charged. I don't know. But a story about other super soldiers during Sky. And they alluded to it with the interaction with Isaiah. And their fight back in was it 50s, 60s?
It was a Korean War.
Yeah. So they alluded to that storyline. And I'll have to remember what the comic series was called, but basically it was a story of how there were black super soldiers that were not treated like Captain America was, and the emotion from Sam after that revelation. I was like, oh, dude, this is gonna get dicey.
Yeah, but you kind of expected it, and now we know there are super soldiers elsewhere, and the new Captain America and Battlestar are probably let me out of the car. that was a great. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
No compromise.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he tells all of us, enlightens us about what that is. All right, the first thing trending is RVD.
Rob Van Dam. RVD will be joining the great Khali, Kane, and Molly Holly going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. And here's what I can tell you about those four being the first four inducted, Zoe. I feel very old. Because I watched RVD like as an adult, right? Like Kane was kind of a weird one because I watched Kane when I was a kid. And even though Kane kept going, like Kane is from the group, like Good Kane, Big Red Machine Kane is from my childhood. Molly Holly kind of towards the end of my childhood, early adolescence, adulthood. Same story. Eric Bischoff, obviously, he's getting in for his role by creating the NWO and all that. But RVD, I watched as a grown-up, Lonzo. I feel old because of this WWE Hall of Fame class.
Well, I'm not interested in how you feel as far as old goes, because I've been feeling that way for a while now. But thank you for making it feel even worse. No, RVD deservedly so. Getting in, and I don't have a problem with him getting in. Still, Great Khali is still a big question. All right, the next thing trending is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is the series that's going to be dropping on Disney Plus, has been talking about some new additions to the cast. We knew Ewan McGregor is coming back. We know Hayden Christensen, who, by the way, is a very grown-up man now, is coming in. We also know that Kumail Nanjiani is going to be involved. There's a handful of others. Benny Safdie is going to be involved as well. This is the conclusion I've drawn with the new Disney Star Wars universe, Lonzo. No unattractive people allowed. The galaxy far, far away is just full of supermodels and lookers, man. If you like at this point, I'm a Greenville 6.5. I'm a Star Wars 2, Lonzo, if you get what I'm saying.
I didn't really think about it that way, but since neither you nor I have been to a galaxy far, far away, it might be accurate.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Forrest Whitaker is the only unattractive person in the last 5 Star Wars movies at this point.
Well,
it's Forrest Whitaker and alien bad guys are the only people allowed to be overweight in these movies.
Yeah, the galaxy far, far away, they don't visit here because you seen those people? Ugly. Well, none of that. All right, the next thing trending, and this is kind of touchy, but Randy Orton and Soulja Boy again.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the latest reply from Randy Orton, and I don't know how you can creatively discuss it, but what a diss it was.
So Soulja Boy tweeted to Randy Orton, "You a B-word, Randy Orton," and I mean that 100% female genitalia. Orton then responded, "My reproductive organ is taller than you and weighs more too. Go to bed, you blanking infant. You're welcome for the boost. Go choke on a keyboard." End quote. This only has payoff if I get an actual MMA fight between Orton and Soulja Boy. And I gotta tell you, I know Soulja Boy thinks he's hard. I know Randy Orton fake fights for a living. But Zoe, if those two octagon it, I'm handicapped. Although don't listen to me because my weekend sucked. I'm handicapping Randy Orton puts Soulja Boy away in the first round.
Well, yeah, for sure. And I think after this latest round of back and forth, I think Soulja Boy just needs to go away because I think that that Orton owned him. He absolutely owned him. How do you come back from that? You can't.
You can't. No, that was a verbal RKO. And it wasn't precisely out of nowhere because he's been dropping RKOs on Soulja Boy for the better part of a month now.
No, he's pushed him and pushed him and pushed him, and finally he dropped the anvil down there. There's no coming back from that. All right,
he's
D,
going to that place.
He went to that place. All right, D, next thing, speaking of rap, the next thing trending is Lil Nas X Satan shoes.
Okay, so if you haven't been following this story, it's absolutely wild. All right, it's absolutely wild. So, story came out that Lil Nas X, of course, the singer of the Old Town Road remix that got incredibly popular for some reason for a very long time.
Because people love themselves some Billy Ray Cyrus. That's what it is.
True story. There was a story on social media this week that Lil Nas X and Nike had come together to form a new Air Max shoe that was a satanic shoe. Like it had the pentagram logo on the front and a Bible verse about the devil on the side, and that the sole, every sole of every shoe had one drop of human blood mixed into it. And Lil Nas X kind of ran with the lulz for a while, but he and Nike have both come out and said that it's not true. They're not making these shoes. It was a ruse. Lil Nas X played it.
You haven't seen the picture?
No, I've seen the picture.
Yeah.
But they're not actually doing it. Lil Nas X was basically making a social media play there to get everybody riled up, and that's exactly what happened. As I've said many times, I feel collectively like we should all ignore celebrities because we have bigger problems in the world right now. But, social media going social media. So I would rather use it for boat puns and sports talk, but that's just me.
Okay, because the article I saw said it sold out in minutes. So, maybe it's real, maybe it's not real.
Nike has said that they have not and are not making those shoes. Same with Lil Nas X. That at least that's what I saw. But Lonzo, I have decided to dedicate precisely 0 minutes of my time to researching that story, to tell you the truth. All right, your last key word as we head into the 3 o'clock hour today is going to be dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, like you could win 1,000 of them. Dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R. Text that keyword to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword is dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R. Text it to 72881, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Become winner number 5 from ESPN Upstate by texting dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, to 72881. Mark Ryan, Diesel, up next for Offsides for Lonzo. My name's Rob Brown. Thanks for hanging out with us today, y'all. We'll try harder tomorrow on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later.